We are going to start with Module 7 of the course. In this module, we will talk about specific legislation in certain areas. It is interesting that you know this legislation, since until now, in the previous 6 modules of the course you have been seeing general, or horizontal elements, that characterize food legislation in the European Union. What this closing module will allow us is to see elements that characterize other aspects that are also regulated in the European Union. I give you some examples of what you are going to work on throughout this 7th module, in which we are going to focus on the legislation on dietary products, or food supplements, on the relative legislation, also on ecological, or organic products, and finally, also aspects on the legislation of genetically modified materials, or GMOs for their acronym in English. These 3 aspects are very important for you to know, since in some cases they have legislation that must be transposed by the different member states. I'll give you an example, the case of dietary products. We are dealing with a series of products that the European Union at the beginning of the 2000s legislated through a series of directives, and these directives must be transposed into the legislation of the member states. In the content of this module that you are going to work on now, you are going to see, for example, how this legislation has been transposed to the applicable regulation for dietary products, or special food in the case of Spain. You are going to see that it is an example of how is transposed in the rest of the countries of the European Union in the current 27 member states will occur in a similar way, but here we will have the case history of what has happened in this case. It is especially important, since aspects such as administrative elements must be taken into account, or how these products are registered, or the elements associated with labeling, or with different ingredients that can be incorporated into food supplements. Then, in addition to seeing this part of dietary products, as I told you, we also consider the case of organic products to be relevant and important, so that you can know the entire community acquis from the point of view of food law, the case of the organic products. Organic products are a sector of the agri-food field that in the last decade has gained a lot of ground, and never better said, the fact that it has gained ground, because it is ground both from the regulatory point of view and from the physical point of view. Since the European Union wants, within the common territory, more and more farms to be dedicated to this activity. So, from that point of view, the current legislation dates back to 2018, which you are going to work on, is regulated, and it is a regulation that has been implemented recently and is being applied. And it will also allow you to know, well, the details of how these organic products are regulated, and something that is very important, that you can perfectly differentiate or discern between these organic products and other types of claims or other types of mentions that may refer to this type of food. And, to close the 7th module, I also wanted to incorporate in this topic the reference to genetically modified organisms. Genetically modified organisms are ingredients or substances that, within the field of food, can be used and that, if are used, from the point of view of the final consumer, they must receive information about the presence of these elements. In that sense, it is important that it be known, although we must also be aware of the real situation, and that is that they are used, but they are not displayed too much in the final products that we as consumers can access. With these 3 elements that make up Module 7, we would close the course. You would have seen a general overview of food law, and I trust that you will be in a position to work much better with food legislation. I encourage you from this moment to continue with the course and work in this area. Thank you.